Hey Fraggle fans, Beth here. This is a big one, both in episode length and topic. Content warning for this episode. This is Fraggle Wars, so of course we are discussing war, including a lot of related things like fascism and propaganda, and certain kinds of armed conflicts that might not get labeled as war. We do spend a few minutes toward the end talking about Palestine specifically, which starts a little after 1 hour and 25 minutes. Any opinions expressed belong solely to the individual expressing them and do not reflect any particular stance of Tough Pigs. It's not all grim, though. We're clinging to humor like a lifeline and still manage to have our usual moments of silliness. Take care of yourselves. Thank you for listening, and thank you for trusting us with this. Hello and welcome to Fraggle Talk Classic, the unofficial Fraggle Rock podcast brought to you by toughpigs.com. My name is Beth, and I am rewatching for the millionth time.
My name is Julia, and I'm rewatching for the first time in 10 years.
My name is Adam, and I watched this show wearing 2 sets of headphones because I was on hold for my insurance company for 40 minutes, and halfway through that I decided, screw it, I'm just going to watch the episode because I might as well do something while I'm on hold, but I needed to stay listening to the hold music, so I had hold music in one ear and the episode in the other, and then I just sort of crossed the headphones so they made an X on top of my head, and it was very silly. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, wow. Oh, we are in a silly mood today, folks, for a very serious topic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad we invited... Hey, who's that guest?
Who? Where?
When did you get here?
Whoa.
Why are you dressed like David Bowie?
I always am. Don't you know I'm the Goblin King? Hi, everybody. I'm JD Hansel. I'm from Tough Pigs.
JD's back.
And I'm here to sing... Squeedly squad, squad, squeedly squad, squad, squeedly squab, squab. That's the Fraggle Wars theme song.
Oh my god.
You all know the song.
Yo.
Oh,
Now,
boy.
everyone at home listening, sing along.
I'm trying to imagine Darth Vader trying to force choke Miss Piggy and her just like kicking him on the bottom of the chin while she's in midair and then doing a karate chop and just breaking his mask.
Hang on, you've seen the Star Wars episode of the Muppet Show, right?
The what now?
Oh my god.
Friend, okay, the next time you have 2 minutes, or okay, the next time you have 30 minutes, we are watching the Star Wars episode.
Glorious. I'm so excited for this.
It's a fun one. It's a fun one.
It's really good.
Anyway, today we are talking about episode 17 of season 2, Fraggle Wars, which originally aired on April 23rd, 1984, written by Laura Phillips and directed by George Bloomfield.
This one's a doozy.
This one's a doozy.
This one, the last episode we watched, I really liked. The one before that, not so much. This episode, I get like that. We said at the top of this that like this is the show that he made to try to bring about world peace. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of episode that you use to bring about world peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's. I mean, this is like a formative piece of Muppet content for me, or just a formative piece of media for me. Like it definitely had a big effect on my values and the way that I think, even though now I look at it and I question it a little bit. Like there is kind of a little sense one gets that the episode thinks the path to peace is human essentialism, or as it were, Fraggle essentialism. And I don't know. But
yeah, I wasn't delighted with the resolve.
The resolve is very
but
fast.
I do really appreciate the sort of the red flag manual for escalation and buildup that we'll get to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh, welcome to my special interests. Well, one of many.
Thank you. Welcome to my cube.
Whoa, 6 walls.
Yeah.
Is that a wall or a ceiling? How did I get here?
You've always been here. Everyone's always been in the cube, and you'll never get out. Here, we find ways to be very concerned about pieces of media that we love all the time. So you can never just be happy with
is this
anything.
like,
That's the nature of the cube.
What's the power level of this cube? Are we talking like modern? Is this like vintage cube? Is this like
cube
a,
is
like a
from
pauper
1969, cube? But in a way, it has existed for as long as any of us have.
That was a Magic the Gathering joke for the 3. Actually, no, hold on. It's the Muppet fandom for like the 5 of you who enjoyed that one.
I think at least a dozen, right? I would think.
There are dozens of us. Dozens! Anyway, so we open with Schimmelfinny putting a dead rat in the front seat of Doc's car.
It's a spider, isn't it?
It's a fake spider.
It's a spider.
Oh, it's a fake spider. I thought it was like a dead rat king.
I thought it was a clump of hair at first.
I got really excited and thought it was a crawly, which are little critters in the Dark Crystal that the Skeksis eat. Mm-hmm. And unlike all the other creatures, you'll know this if you listen to the Labyrinth episode of Hubba Wah. Unlike all the other creatures in the Dark Crystal, these they did not build. They just bought these at like a dollar store or something. They're just pet toys, and they put them on strings and scurried them around the set and then reused them in Labyrinth. And I was so excited it was that, but then I look closer. It's just a toy spider.
Yeah.
So Schimmelfinny's like, I gotta get back at Doc. I'm gonna joy buzz him. And then does the least subtle attempt at joy buzzing anyone I've ever seen. Like, I'm not here to say that the escalation is warranted, but like, Doc, if you're gonna joy buzz somebody, you gotta play it down low. You gotta be low key about it.
And Schimmelfinny is ready to go. You know, no sooner has Doc opened the door and stuck out his hand and be like, I just want to give your hand a neighborly shake, and smack pie in the face.
Is a pie in the face a practical joke? It feels like an assault.
I mean, the Venn diagram of practical jokes and assault is pretty significant.
True. You'd have a hard time telling that to the Muppet performers historically. I think they've softened now. But historically, they're pretty aggressive pranksters.
I mean, slapstick has been an unfortunate cornerstone of our culture for far longer than anyone's comfortable admitting.
Sure. I guess, when Muppets do it, yeah, it's just like, oh, they're so silly.
Bonk,
but
bonk.
I think it's the fact that he opens his door and immediately, he just gets a pie smack in the face, and how...
It's an aerial, too. It's not like a hand to the smush. It's like a nose. That was at velocity.
And it happens more than once, too.
Well, so here's the fun thing, too, is I know that they always do multiple takes. So that poor actor got, at least 5 to 10 pies to the face and then had to carefully clean them all off and do it again.
Yeah. I also like how Doc comes in asking, where is his compassion? And then, without missing a beat, excitedly announces how he will make Ned suffer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It'd be like that.
Mm-hmm. It's perfect.
Oftentimes the people preaching for how much they want compassion are the ones who are... I had this happen in my classroom today. I have 2 children who repeatedly get on each other's nerves because they're so similar. And one of them will be like, I want to talk to this kid because they were mean to me. And I'm like, all right, well, what happened? And then they will do the rudest, most over-exaggerated, mocking impression of the way that the other kid talked. And I'm like... Do you want to be mean and mad, or do you want to actually reconcile this? Because what you're doing is going to make this person keep trying to be, not caring of your feelings.
No. Adam, you got to understand. If you just respond by showing strength, eventually everyone else goes, oh, I get it, I'm inferior, I should concede.
Yeah, that totally... Look, it just because it hasn't worked almost any time in history doesn't mean it won't work for you specifically. Yeah.
We're all in agreement here, right? Good, I got a giggle out of Adam, I'm happy.
You did indeed, yeah. So we cut to the Fraggles, and I love this opening shot.
It's so good.
I love it so much. We get this wide shot that really slowly focuses in on just Red and Moki, and they have a fire. They have a little campfire. Do the Fraggles have fires off? I don't remember seeing the Fraggles with fire, but please help me remember, because my brain, he is so little and so full of holes. He's like a tiny baby between a chihuahua and a fishing net that was raised by Swiss cheese.
I feel that.
There's a fire in Wembley and Gobo's cave frequently, and
But they're not lit by it.
they're not lit by it. No, it's more for ambiance. This is a campfire,
yeah.
and the source of the light for the scene. But Red has she's roasting a radish on a stick.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Yes. At one point, she accidentally drops it, and then she blows it off. It's so good.
Yeah. Oh, she like blows on it very urgently, and I was like, "That's such good puppetry." Oh my god, no seams in the world building.
Yeah.
It's interesting that these are the Fraggles who are supposed to be more fun and spontaneous than the boring Fraggles we encounter later, and yet their equivalent to marshmallows is just the same food that they always eat, and it's a freaking vegetable. Like, there's very
I hadn't thought about it that way.
restricted tastes, which is perfectly fine. I relate.
I mean, it's not like they can go to the Gorg's garden and steal like atomic sour warheads.
Have they ever
It's
asked?
not just that their tastes are restricted; it's that their access is restricted.
Have they ever just asked Junior what else he can do?
I don't know, man. If you knew that there was a mountain with the brain of a teenager who wanted to bop you, would you ask it for candy?
Yeah.
You're a braver man than I, JD.
Thank you. So what am I supposed to make of Moki's quip about Red's choice to explore in the opposite direction from Gobo? Like, I genuinely couldn't tell what Moki was trying to imply about Red's psychology in making that choice.
So Red says, "Isn't this great? I bet we've gone farther than any Fraggle has gone before." And Moki says, "Oh, I'm sure we have. Even farther than Gobo." And Red's like, "What does that have to do with our camping trip?" And Moki's like, "Oh, nothing. Just maybe not just a coincidence that while Gobo's exploring the Golden Grotto, we're exploring in the opposite direction." She's calling Red out for constantly being in competition with Gobo, is what's happening here. She's trying to do it in a very gentle and Moki way of like, "Hey, you know this is why you're doing the thing that we're currently doing?"
Okay.
And Red, to her credit, she's like, "Moki, sometimes I think you know more about why I do things than I do." And she just laughs and says, "Oh no, I just know more about why I do things." And I was like, dang, I love that.
Yeah, that was so good. And like, it's classic Moki to have just like the germ of a beautiful thing and then immediately just like pivot into just kind of trash.
Wait,
What do you mean?
hold on.
Because she's
say
like,
more.
"Yeah, because all Fraggles are basically the same." And
Oh, yeah.
Red's like,
Yeah.
"Wait, whoa,
Yep.
whoa, what?" And Moki's like, "Yeah, totally." And Red's like, "Are you saying that I'm the same as Boober?" And Moki's like, "Yep." And it's so Moki to be like falling asleep as she casually disregards someone's entire worldview.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought you meant her worldview that all Fraggles are basically the same as trash. And I was like,
It's
I mean,
a complicated one.
Ish.
it is a complicated one.
It's certainly like the way she says it is very dismissive
Yeah.
Ah.
and lacking in nuance.
Yes. Right.
Because like, behold a man.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of the unusually clear examples of a thesis statement being presented at the beginning of an episode that's going to be very plainly debated throughout.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about this more when we get to the end, but I'm still unclear on exactly where it lands. I do think, to a degree, it does a good job of complicating that idea of the, adding complication to the oversimplification that Moki presents, but only to
Which
a degree.
sometimes that's what you need.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I exist to complicate things at Tough Pigs. That's what I'm here for.
My senior year philosophy teacher, because the college I was at, you had to take 3 philosophy courses, 2 your freshman year and 1 your last year.
Cool.
I swear his whole like magnum opus, his whole goal was to just make us stop and go, actually, we don't know anything. Like, yeah, we're about to graduate college. We're all, hot to trot and we feel like we're good at it. No, you don't know anything, actually.
Yeah.
Everything's more complicated than you think it is.
It's not a bad goal.
Thank goodness for teachers like that.
Yeah, no, dude was great. He's the reason I got to see one of my favorite painful movies.
Which is?
It's called In the Company of Men, and it is one of my favorite movies that I would not recommend to anyone because it is so incredibly painful. There is no blood. There's like a couple of acts of minor physical violence, and it is like jaded seniors walked out halfway through, a couple of them, because it was just that hard to watch.
It's tough though with that theme. This might be a little off topic, but it's tough though with that theme of how genuinely, if in my writing for Tough Pigs, I'm trying to get people to go, oh, that wow, this is actually pretty complicated, and there are a lot of different perspectives to consider, and it's not a very simple thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough because there are some ways right now in the world for reasons sort of related to wars in the world where folks would, where people in power would rather have everyone go, oh, I actually don't know anything, and so I can't speak to this. It's all so complicated, and there are so many perspectives to consider, and I'm so clueless, and I know so little, and there's so too much for me to learn. How will I ever even have an opinion? And that's something that I wrestle with a lot that I have no idea what to do about.
Yeah, I mean, that is a pretty common propaganda technique. And, you know, you saw that kind of thing done by the Nazis in World War II. You see it a lot in, like, a lot of the stuff that Trump is putting out, where you just have to put out so much information that people can't even stop and think.
Yeah.
It's changed the way I teach.
Really?
Because when I first started teaching, my favorite way to teach is, oh, it looks like you've put together a worldview. Let me just go ahead and flip that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just go ahead and invert that and make you question everything. But the generation that I've had over the last 3 or 4 years, like, they're scared to have a worldview. There's so much learned helplessness, and they don't necessarily even know, like, they're scared to try to expand anything, and they just want to kind of, and I'm generalizing like heck here, but like, I've had to stop and be like, no, actually, like, you need to learn to look at things and find certainty from your uncertainty instead of starting in a place of certainty and then finding the uncertainty.
That's interesting. I don't really seek out certainty for myself, because for me, I don't know that I really think that exists, but I do try to find some things that seem more stable, some things that hold up to scrutiny better than other things. And that's a really valuable and important thing to do.
Yeah, I think you're very right, and I also think you've had decades more time to develop that than these kids have.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, that's true. I forget. I'm not a child.
Yeah, it's really at the fundamental level, because, like, I remember as a kid being deeply, deeply uncertain because I had terribly low self-esteem, and then finding out that, like, ego was a very easy thing to feed, and then falling into the very, very consistent comfort of certainty. And it took a lot of the universe slapping me in the face to finally let go of that and be like, hey, actually, things are kind of uncertain. I tend to think you need to have some level of confidence in your ability to even just, like, look at a thing before you can look at a thing and find the uncertainty in the thing, as well as the uncertainty in looking at yourself and acknowledging that, like, you are not a perfect, you are a biased lens with which information flows, or through which information flows.
Yeah.
Did that make any sense?
Yeah, this is a really good conversation to have at what is 2.5 minutes into the episode of the show.
Boy, howdy.
Including the theme song.
Woo. So,
the next morning, Moki is up early packing. Brett is still asleep, and Moki hears some music.
80s fascist techno grunge.
They're chanting order, right?
I believe so.
It's just order.
Eventually they are.
Yeah.
They're not even at a restaurant.
At first they're singing, from what I saw on the internet, the lyrics that they were singing at first are worry, wrath, and rave.
Oh, yeah.
No time now for being brave. Orders what we crave down in Fraggle Cave. Which I guess should be sung as worry, wrath, and rave. No time now for being brave. Orders what we crave.
Oh my gosh.
Down in Fraggle Cave.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize it matches the meter.
Yeah, it matches the meter.
Really?
Exactly.
What?
That's very good.
That's so good.
Fun, isn't it? Fraggle Rock is good.
What? What? I want to talk about those lyrics, though.
Okay.
Worry, wrath, and rave. No time left for being...
No time now for being brave.
Orders what we crave. That's fascism. Those are the key ingredients of fascism. Worry. You keep everybody scared. You keep everybody's fight or flight stuff activated, because that means you can manipulate them better. Looking at you, Fox News. Wrath. You give people who are unhappy an easy target for their anger that naturally arises from their exploited state. Again, looking at you, Fox News. And rave. Tucker Carlson. Alex Jones. Need I say more?
Yeah, not the fun kind of rave.
No time left for being brave. The root of fascism is insecurity that needs to be covered up. It comes from that. That's why the best antidote to fascism is therapy and community. Both are important. But no time left for being brave. If you all band together in a big group and have overwhelming force against someone who does not have the strength to stand up to you, i.e. a minority group, of course you don't have to be brave. You don't have to be brave. That's not a fair fight. Order's what we crave? Yeah, because that's that same comforting thing. If you're scared, well, I know where I am here. I know where I am in the hierarchy. There's a reassurance there that is, granted, only skin deep, but that is still a reassurance. These 3 lines are brilliant.
Yup.
And again, I'm only kind of sure that's what they're singing, because it is really hard to make it out, and I was largely relying on someone.
Said as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Then that's right.
That
That's
is what the
great.
caption said. I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to talk about it.
See, fascism didn't occur to me at that point. What I wrote down is, oh no, this episode is Moki meets the Neurobeiges.
See, yeah, I definitely was like, oh, this is the very, very different flavors of neurodivergent meeting each other. And you did just frame one of those flavors as fascism, and so now I'm going to think about that a lot all week.
Well, okay, hold up.
I'm sorry.
Order itself is not necessarily the fascism part. You can like order.
Thank heavens.
I like order.
You're allowed. Look. Hot take. You're allowed to like order and not be a fascist. You heard it here first.
Thank you. I'm so glad I have your permission.
Yeah. Anyone who I didn't give permission to, you're not allowed, though. You can't like order without being just the 3 people on the podcast.
Yeah.
No. It's just the order on top of all the rest of it.
Okay, great.
That really pulls it into.
That makes sense. So Moki, of course, just runs up laughing and introducing herself. And she's like, oh, don't be afraid. I'm just a Fraggle like you, operating from that core belief that, like, well, they may look different from me, but surely we're going to become instant friends.
Because we're all the same.
And they are, like, staring at her in worry and fear, and they start, like, slowly advancing on her in a very creepy way.
Can I also just point out a quick puppeteering detail?
Ooh, please.
They move differently than the Fraggles were used to move.
Mm-hmm.
There's a much more staccato aspect, up to like a sharper up and down and a rhythm to it instead of the sort of like organic hop, 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 hop. There's up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yes.
Which seems like it's mimicking marching, which also, hey, fascism.
They also, I only noticed this towards the end of the episode, they have straight hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very straight, always under a hat, all the clothes the same color.
Mm-hmm. The straight hair just struck me because, not giving anything away, but there is a group in Back to the Rock that has straight hair that is portrayed very differently than this group, or at least mostly differently.
Oh, I thought it's because all the Fraggles had gay hair. So they take her prisoner. That part's messed up.
Yeah.
Don't take people prisoner. It's not a nice thing to do.
But what if it's in the rules?
Yeah, well, I hear the people at the Nuremberg trials were just following orders. Heard that went really well for them, too.
This is escalating so fast.
I led with this is fascism.
I feel like
this
we could big thumbs down Nuremberg and the Nazis in World War II without, sorry.
Hot take. You heard it here
I feel
first.
like if people can't come against us for that.
Look, y'all, you come to us here at Fraggle Talk Classic for the spiciest of political takes.
Hitler was
Nazis at the
bad.
Nuremberg trials?
Boo, Hitler.
I'm not saying
Guilty.
it's controversial.
Guilty.
I'm just saying this got dark fast, but it is the Fraggle Wars episode.
It's a dark episode.
They don't call it the Fraggle Fun Times episode, JD.
There's one little moment of fun time when Beige Fraggle enters, played by Richard Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
There's a moment where I definitely saw a very low-flying cloud of curly 80s hair.
Aww.
That was very good.
Yes.
Richard.
So Red sees this and is like, oh, what? I do really appreciate that the concept of intentional meanness and intentional harm is so alien and anathema to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, literally, isn't it Wembley that says war, there's no such thing as war. That's just an old Fraggle tale.
Yeah, same with, like, calling them enemy Fraggles. I was like, what? There's no such thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like that part too. I like that part a lot.
Yeah.
Me too. It's one of those things that makes you go, yeah, we do want to make the world a little Fragglier because the Fraggles are good. The Fraggles are just so good-natured. Wouldn't we all want to be just like Fraggles? And then minutes later, if that, we find out that Fraggles have actually been really, really, really terrible to each other for no good reason.
Yep.
I have a theory behind that.
Ooh.
That we'll get to when we get to it.
Great.
So Red comes back to tell everybody, like, oh my gosh, Moki got captured by these other weird Fraggles. What do? We gotta go rescue her. Enter the world's oldest Fraggle. Woo!
Boo.
Yeah, what a monster this episode.
He's a real piece of work in this episode.
Yay! World's oldest Fraggle!
I mean, wonderfully written, but like, boo.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Wonderfully written, delightfully performed by Dave Goelz, and also the problem here.
Mm-hmm.
I do find it very interesting that they had the person actively trying to lead people into horrible acts of violence also being Goofy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Reminded me of a certain someone.
Doesn't feel relevant at all in this day and age that we're living in.
It definitely hasn't been relevant for like the last 20 gosh darn years.
Talking about Johannes, right?
I mean, I was talking about 45 and to a lesser extent W.
Is Joe 45? He doesn't look a day over 32.
Joe's definitely older than 32.
I'm gonna be real with you, man. I'm not at work right now. Don't say numbers at me.
Oh, okay.
I don't do math. I just taught math and then went and tutored a kid at math, and now I'm hearing you saying numbers. Come on, JB.
Joe's like 40.
Come on.
Anyway.
At least Venmo him if you're going to make him do math.
Right? Gosh.
Fair.
Anyways, so before we get to the meat of it, I just love the way the world's oldest Fraggle dances.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He just like pokes left and right in a very fast rhythmic motion, and it makes me very happy.
Yeah, he's doing like this 1930s cartoon dance. Like I have in my notes, world's oldest dancing is now my favorite puppet dance of all time. It like I can't tell if it's just Dave doing the puppetry or if there has to be one puppeteer doing the arms, given how much really precise stuff they're doing with this dance. But it's like so well done and so funny and so energizing, and like I'm excited to go to war, gang.
Yeah, that's how they get you.
Yeah, the Fraggles have to be, like, worked up, because at first someone in the back is like, lunchtime, and they all disperse for lunch, and Red is like, no. And she starts singing this song. She says, they've got Moki now, but any one of us could be next. That line, any one of us could be next. I feel like so much hinges on the possibility of future violence becoming like a promise of future violence. Like, future violence will happen, therefore we have to get them before they get us.
Yeah, this song is just fear-mongering to the highest degree.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that, especially at the end of the song, Red is doing it because she's like, I'm worried about my friend. I saw my friend in a cage. She was blindfolded. I'm genuinely afraid about what they're going to do to her. But it just boulders down, like, it just gets bigger and bigger and out of her control. And at the end, she's like, great, we gotta go get Moki. And then they're like, no, we gotta go to war. And it just escalates from there, yeah.
What's really interesting to me is you have actually three forces at play here. You have Red being worried and trying to get people to help her go get Moki. You have everybody being distractible and hungry. And, you know, there's a bit where they all don't really seem to care about Moki. Like, they express, oh, wow, that's terrible. Okay, let's go eat lunch.
Yeah.
And Red feels like she clearly feels like she has to get people to care about it. And one of the ways she does that is like, yo, put yourself in Moki's shoes. You could be next, which it's one of the less fortunate things. It's a lot easier for people to wind up caring about something if they are actually potentially at risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that thought because throughout the rest of the episode, Red keeps bringing up Moki, especially to World's Oldest Fraggle, where she's like, what about Moki? Are we going to get Moki? And, like, continually, like, no one else seems to care about Moki. even though Moki is the inciting incident of why they are going to war.
Yeah.
It's almost like the people who find moral justifications to go to war don't generally actually care about achieving the moral goals that they have stated are the cause for their wars.
Yeah.
Usually ever.
Yeah, it just comes down to xenophobia and often colonialism.
Yeah, which I have thoughts on the colonial. One of the critiques I have of this episode is that it doesn't talk about the drive for why a lot of wars wind up happening at the higher echelons of existence of not existence of organization, and I will get to that. But like Red's genuine concern for her friend, the Fraggle populace's sort of distractibility and general apathy, and then the world's oldest Fraggle just warmongering because he loves it.
Yeah.
He's excited.
And that's like a difficult place for Red to be, because she clearly is uncomfortable with the way he's talking about things, but he's also the only one trying to get people to go get Moki back.
Right. I also like how there are a few moments throughout the episode where World's Oldest is like, gee, I hope this would never come. But since it has, like, he is at once expressing his distaste for the situation throughout, while also wholeheartedly supporting it.
Yeah.
He's all those dudes who buy a gun because they're secretly super excited that they might get to shoot a home intruder, even though that would be a terribly risky thing for their family to endure.
Yeah, but more than that, though, right? Like, because he is kind of the Fraggle government, and
part of it, anyways.
Part of it, yeah. And in
as much as Fraggles have government, which they don't.
Right, which is questionable. Yeah. Yeah. It's certainly in sort of a leadership position, if only vaguely.
The occasionally wise elder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do really, this is the first one of those like parts where I'm really glad, and I think this episode nails it, because his immediate response is an escalation, not even in terms of just like violent tools at first. His first response is a conceptual escalation.
Mm-hmm.
It is not, these people did a bad thing, we have to go fix it. It is, these people did a bad thing, we need to fear them and hate them.
Yeah, not just these people did a bad thing, these people are inherently bad.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The lyrics are, they're not the same as you and me. Their kind just lives for cruelty. They never laugh, they never even smile. It's in their blood, it's in their veins, it gurgles through their twisted brains. They're wild and nasty, vicious, mean, and vile.
Is Red singing this part, or is it World's Oldest Fraggle?
No, this is World's Oldest Fraggle singing that verse,
okay. Yeah, and so this, like, it's, I mean, at the heart of a lot of this episode of just someone in a place of power and respect, using that power and respect to turn an entire people or Fraggles on another group of Fraggles, when, like, the Fraggles don't even, like, know each other, but he drums up, fear-mongering, war-mongering, and all of this hate, and because he has so much power and respect, they believe him, and also they have the fear of, we've got to go after them before they come after us, and it's a sad reflection on a lot of human history and human present day.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's a little bit heavy, but it's also very history. This is a perfect example of steps 1 and 4 of the 10 stages of genocide. Stage 1 is a classification. You decide that one group is an other, and stage 4 is dehumanization. You find a way to make them less than human.
Yeah.
Mm.
And we get to see this happen on a kids show.
Yeah. Kids show in the 80s.
Yeah, an 80s show for like little kids who aren't ready to watch the actual like action kid shows yet.
Well, and that's the beauty of it. I firmly believe that if part of raising children properly is inoculating them against toxic ideas.
Mm.
How do you mean?
Well, if you teach kids about self-esteem and empathy, they're a lot less likely to join in if there's a bunch of other kids, you know, pulling the wings off a fly or something like that. Because you've taught them, like, hey, like, this is a living thing. It can feel pain. We try to minimize that whenever we can. And so they're less likely to engage in that kind of cruelty from a place of ignorance.
Yeah.
If you can lead with education, people are a lot less likely to fall into this kind of really toxic mindset from a place of ignorance. And this is leading from education on a level that kids can understand.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, the show is really good.
Like, this dude really was trying to bring about world peace with a TV show, and I get that, and that's amazing.
Yeah. There's another Duck and Sprocket scene. Basically, the prank war is escalating, gets hit in the face with another pie, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Really not a lot going on until that last one for these Duck and Sprocket scenes.
Yeah.
Well, and the segment with them does end with him saying this means war, which is like, obviously,
Yep.
they're warring with each other with practical jokes, but that is like putting the pin in it of like, now we're gonna go back to the war that's happening in Fraggle Rock.
And in the Fraggle Rock scenes, you also get World's Oldest saying the same thing. This means war.
Yeah.
Which I imagine that they had either Groucho Marx or the old Warner Brothers cartoons in mind when they used that phrasing of it specifically, because that's a thing. And like, you know, a lot of the classic Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yeah.
Whenever the conflict is going to escalate.
Of course you realize this means war.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not bad, Doc.
Yeah. What else happens in the episode?
So, World's Oldest Fraggle's explaining, in a war you have a bunch of Fraggles on one side who hate a bunch of Fraggles on the other side, and Wembley, bless his heart, is now here to be the voice of, why? Why do we have to hate the other Fraggles? And what if there's no reason to hate them?
Yeah.
Sorry, can I go grab a book real quick and read a quote?
Sure.
Cool, I'll be right back. This is from Battleground by Jim Butcher. It's the most recent book in the Dresden Files, and this is happening in the midst of a full assault on a city. Hate is comforting. Hate is pure. There aren't any questions, any worries about right and wrong, any quibbles about your motivations or goals. There are no doubts. Hate is serene.
Dang.
Yeah, that quote hits like a truck. There's another really amazing one in there about like some horrors should be witnessed and we should not look away because never again means more to some people than to others.
Mm-hmm.
The Dresden Files they're my problematic fave. There's also a bunch of misogynistic tropes that wind up popping up in them, but God, it's just very fun to read.
You know, there's another side to that, though, which is that it's very comforting to think that the only reason why a people would go to war is a burning hatred or some flavor or another of hate.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, this much scarier reality is that sometimes all that's needed is a desire for more power, more land, more stuff, and just apathy about the other people.
Well, so you're right up to a point.
Okay.
One of my favorite facts about humanity is that like 60% of soldiers on the Allied side in World War II either didn't fire their weapon or fired intentionally to miss.
I was going to bring up this thing. Yeah. Apparently most soldiers are like, nah, I don't want to hurt other people, and I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Now, granted, U.S. military training now has a whole bunch of things to try to break through that, but like the natural human instinct is to not want to actually kill a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And one of the most consistent ways to try to circumvent that is by nurturing hatred in a person.
Yeah.
Combine that hatred with dehumanization, and suddenly you've got one of the things that I special interest a lot about is how does evil happen?
Right.
Like how do you take someone who starts off as a baby who just wants to be held and to drink milk and to giggle at new things, and how does that little baby grow up to be someone who commits hate crimes or someone who commits war crimes or something like that? How does that happen? And it turns out we have a decent understanding of how that happens. And it starts by denurturing empathy. It starts by picking specific groups and defining them as outgroups and then dehumanizing them and reinforcing that dehumanization.
And once again, as always, Adam, I want to take all of the information that's in your head and put it in my head. But thank you for sharing what you just did.
I had my people call your people about the giant funnel thing. Did you not get the email?
I'm pretty sure it just automatically went to spam. I'm sorry about that.
Well, the funnel's made of spam. It has to be for the medical reasons.
Right. Yes. I'll have my people yell at your people.
Great, thank you. Have them yell loud. My people wear headphones.
Okay.
Anyways, Beth and Julia.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So Beige is an interesting character. He starts out being the one to be like, oh, you can't guard a prisoner without weapons, and you're not allowed to talk to the prisoner. Like, he's following these rules. I'm following all the rules of the Fraggle Security Manual, Chapter 3, Section 7, on the care and feeding of prisoners, which, oh my gosh, there's a piece of lore right there. We do not have time to delve into. But as he's having this conversation with Moki, he's gradually starting to see her humanity.
Fraggle-manity?
She's telling him, like, yeah, this stinks. Being locked in a cage and being blindfolded and being held prisoner, yeah, I'm not having a good time. And she says, like, it's awful. It's the worst thing that ever happened to me. And that's when I noticed the silliness that is happening in the rest of this scene.
Yes.
Did anyone else notice the rocks?
Yes.
No.
So there's a series of Fraggles crossing from left to right as Beige and Moki are talking, and you're not supposed to pay attention to them. But so first you get a Fraggle carrying a rock. And then you get a Fraggle carrying 2 rocks, like, stacked on top of each other, and then a third rock in their mouth. And then you get a Fraggle carrying a huge rock, like, on their back and their neck, which, oh my god, my neck hurt just looking at it. And then you get this little guy dragging a rock that looks like it shouldn't be heavy. It's like the size of an orange, as if it were extremely dense, or possibly sentient, and even, like, pauses to, like, catch his breath a couple of times. There's a Fraggle carrying a rock on their face. There's a Fraggle holding a rock and hopping, and I was like, oh, okay, this is that episode of I Love Lucy where Ethel is being snobby about being a big star back in her hometown, and she's putting on a show back in her hometown, and so Lucy, Ricky, and Fred do a series of increasingly large and silly shenanigans behind her back.
What it made me think of was the gorilla walking through the basketball game. Because the first time...
It totally is!
The first time I watched this episode this week, when I watched it earlier, I didn't see that at all. I was completely engrossed in the conversation, 100%. And then when I was watching it earlier today, I'm like, there's a whole other episode of Fraggle Rock happening right here in front of me, and it's hilarious.
People keep showing me that gorilla in the basketball game video, and I never see the gorilla. All I see is a V for Vendetta guy telling me to steal an Amazon truck.
What?
And no one else can see that guy.
Well, that's there too, and there are also Fraggles carrying rocks through that.
Oh yeah, and Julia, you're there too, I think.
Ooh.
And the gorilla with the basketball playing video.
Yay.
What is this show?
We're all very tired.
Yeah.
I got this many sleeps. Listener, I'm holding up 5 fingers. 5 sleeps.
I love this moment where Beige is like, okay, you can take off your blindfold. And Moki gets so excited, she shouts, whoopee! And everyone is, like, startled and staring at her, and they drop the rocks they're holding. And Beige is like, please, you're going to have to watch your language. I was like, oh my gosh, of course. If the word whoopee and the whole concept of whoopee is sacred to the rock Fraggles, then of course it would be profane to their foil characters.
Well, you'll note they don't ever say it's profane. They just say you're not supposed to say it. Which is a fascinating thing because whoopee is also slang for sex.
Right?
And so this does kind of feel like mentioning a sex act like at your conservative cousin's family and then just sort of stopping and going, oh, nope, not supposed to talk openly about that here, my bad.
Yeah,
Never mind.
It is framed as either profanity or something very crude, or, you know, for all of them. And it's so interesting because this is told to Moki, and her almost immediate reaction is to then yell it, which on the one hand, that's not really, I don't know, respecting other cultural, like, things outside of your norm.
Nope.
But at the same time, she also is in a cage and is probably really upset and wants to be out of the cage. it's a mixed bag, you know.
The episode seems kind of undecided about whether she did that intentionally to be a stinker or it was completely accidental, because here it seems totally intentional and instigating, whereas later in the episode it seems like she genuinely is concerned that she's accidentally stumbling into something hurtful to these people.
I mean, maybe it's both. We get to see, Beige discovering her Fraggle manatee. Maybe this is her discovering their Fraggle manatee.
So when we cut back to World's Oldest Fraggle and the Rock Fraggles, and he's leading them somewhere down a tunnel that is implied to be, very rarely gone through because it's all covered in cobwebs. And Wembley's asking, so what exactly happens in a war? And Red says, well, I think you have to hurt other Fraggles on purpose. And Wembley's like, but I don't want to do something like that. And Boober, of course, well, couldn't we just have a bake-off instead? And I was like, honestly, Great British Bake Off is also a little nugget of world peace. It's not just Fraggle Rock.
I like that Red says, we're not going to be able to save Moki with pies, Boober.
Right? The foreshadowing.
The first time I watched the episode,
God,
I didn't even clock it as foreshadowing.
Oh, I didn't clock that at all.
I only watched it once, and I am now just realizing the importance of that line, how it comes into play.
It's a tightly packed episode in which pretty much every single moment of just 5 seconds ties into something else in the episode or echoes something else.
Yeah, and we'll get back to the pies, but the fact that they're used as a weapon in the prank war is pretty significant here.
Yes, that's. I was going to mention this at the end, but I think I'll just say it now. It's a neat choice to have the Fraggles stop their war with pies while Doc is stopping his war by choosing not to use pies.
Right.
Because it kind of highlights the tension between the different ideas at play in this episode. One idea is that people are all basically the same, which is an idea that I've challenged before. I don't know how much I really need to do it again here, but that's what's going on with the Fraggles bonding over pies. World's Oldest clarifies that they find it funny for different reasons, but their similarity. So their similarity is also a difference, but both still interpret a pie in the face as something that reduces tension rather than heightening it. With Doc, they show that some folks only experience a pie in the face as an act of war, not an end to war. So the right thing to do to end the Fraggle conflict is precisely the wrong thing to do to end a conflict with Doc, showing that you actually do need to take the differences between cultures into account in order to resolve conflict, because they can be significant. How does that speak to the way that the episode is kind of pushing the whole sameness thing? I don't know. I would say that the episode does pretty consciously complicate it, but I do wonder just how much it knows that it's complicated it in that way.
Episode, what do you think? Was that intentional on your part?
Oh yeah.
That's what episodes sound like.
Oh, dear God.
Oh my God.
So, World's Oldest Fraggle, he's led them somewhere, and they move this rock aside, and we see this contraption that looks like kind of like part cannon, part trebuchet. We say, what is it? It's something cruel and fierce and terrible. And Boober, I always knew something like this would happen. Like, yeah, buddy. Yeah, you did. It's that moment when the anxious guy was right.
Yeah, and they ask, what's it for? And World's Oldest Fraggle just says destruction.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking that this is being introduced to such a peaceful, like all of these peaceful characters, all the Fraggles that we've spent 2 seasons with, where we really, we've seen animosity in relationships and butting of heads, and obviously like Gobo and Red's competitiveness is like alluded to early in this episode, but we've never seen anything like this. I guess we've seen like them be afraid of being hurt by creatures. The really creepy scorpion guy with big lips, that guy who's like coming after Wembley, or I guess the wizard in the wizard episode. Things like that, but we've never seen the Fraggles being told they've now got to be the ones to inflict pain and violence on, they're framed as the enemy, but they're also Fraggles, and I know that this is supposed to draw parallels to, sure, like, we all come from different places where we're all people, but we're still, we engage in war nonetheless. Yeah, I found this episode very heartbreaking for all of the obvious reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about this until now, but it's pretty impressive that at this stage in the Muppet franchise, which to a large degree, like the bread and butter of the Muppets is characters like exploding each other. And they've done such a good job of, well, steadily over the years since like the Wilkins coffee commercials, reworking and reimagining what a Muppet can be, and then establishing the rules of this specific Muppet universe.
Yes.
So that at the time when they introduce, what if these Muppets do something violent with a weapon? You're like, whoa, what? Oh my gosh, that changes everything. When, like, if you were to skip from the Muppets' early work to this, it would be like, how have they not been using weapons this whole time? They're Muppets.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole like Fraggle culture would not survive one performance by Gonzo.
No, but it does feel they feel almost like a little devoid of each other because, you know, we don't see Crazy Harry as much in this day and age, but he's still around. He still loves his dynamite. And I think that they just operate so differently in these different worlds because the Muppets is geared towards an older audience as well as a younger audience. They're supposed to be kind of for everybody.
Yeah.
Whereas Fraggle Rock is very clearly meant for children. And so I suppose, I mean, I don't know the workings of Jim Henson's mind, but maybe with the violence in the Muppet Show and other Muppet properties, maybe there's an understanding that if young folks are watching it, they're maybe watching it with their parents who can then explain, like, they're puppets, it's very silly, don't actually go like blow up a friend or anything like that. Whereas this show, again, very much geared towards a younger audience. I think that they must have like had a lot of like deep conversations about the tone and everything. And I imagine that this episode had to be approached so carefully, knowing the age range of who was consuming this episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The layering of meaning and explanation is so incredibly intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And it works so carefully with the context that they've already created.
And this is maybe some young folks' like first exposure to the concept of war. They very clearly define it when they're like, war, I just thought that, what is war? I thought this was a legend. Because, yeah, you have to learn at some point in your life that, you know, humans and also Fraggles do this very awful thing to one another. And I feel like this episode does it in the gentlest way humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to them.
The gentlest way while still being honest
about war.
Yeah, being very pointedly accurate in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Again, they're pulling a lot of tools from a tool book that I am very familiar with. Have we talked about the contents of this song and their sense of humor?
No.
So, yeah, we cut back to Beige and Moki, and Moki's like, wait a minute, they're having fun dusting? And like they're doing a little cultural exchange, like, well, we tell jokes and play games and sing and dance and swim. You know, how come you guys never laugh? And he's like, oh, we laugh all the time. And oh boy, this song.
I love this song.
I love it so much.
Yes. The song is called Ho Ho Ho, parentheses, what a funny world it is.
I didn't know that was the name of the song. That's great.
That is very good.
One line in the song that I feel the need to spotlight is when Beige sings, "When we see the setting sun." How? When? Where? Why? Why are these cave Fraggles seeing a setting sun?
Okay. Songs reference the sky more often than the Fraggles actually go and see the sky, but we know they have seen the sky.
Okay.
Like, presumably these Fraggles would also have some way to access either the Gorg's garden or some way to the outside world.
Yeah. Probably they have. We don't know how, but there's a lot we don't know about them, right?
That's true.
I love this song because this feels like what a neurotypical must feel like looking at me and my autistic friends making each other laugh.
Oh my god, that's what I wrote down.
Yup.
Like, oh, I get it now. I too think all of these things are funny under the right circumstances.
Oh yeah.
Like, they all just sound like either like philosophical or like inside jokes. And I was like, yeah, inside jokes are hilarious. And everyone else is staring at you like, what the heck are you laughing at?
It reminded me of one of my favorite bits from one of my favorite comedians, a dude named Andre Duboucher. He has a series that are just, these are jokes written by robots. And I only remember one of them. How many light bulbs?
How many?
4. 4 light bulbs.
Why is that so good?
I don't know, but it's really funny.
It's good because there are 4 lights.
Oh!
I also want to point out, even through all their differences, these Fraggles also break out into collective song.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a really good song about how they're very, very different and also very much the same.
Valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Moki's so into it.
Oh, yeah.
I love how by the end of it, Moki, while a prisoner of war, is so completely into this song.
Just dancing.
Yeah, she starts out like very confused, like very laugh at what? And then she's slowly like getting into it and starting to like kind of groove along. And then by the end, she's just full on jamming out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good song. I don't. What does it say about me that this is kind of my kind of music?
You like Fraggle Rock?
Might be neurodivergent, my dude.
Yeah, well, we knew that.
Well, now hang on. Are they neurodivergents like I originally thought, or are they fascists?
They're not mutually
So,
exclusive.
There's a humorous response that is also deeply sad, which is that, like, there's overlap in that Venn diagram.
Yeah.
There's a reason that a lot of people who get recruited to white supremacist groups are young, white, autistic kids.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's not surprising.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, sorry. No, that's the thing.
Okay.
They prey on the isolated.
Yeah, I was gonna
Of
say.
course they do.
Yeah.
Isolated and seeking order.
I was talking about how white supremacists were raiding depression forums trying to recruit
I remember that part.
20 years ago. Anyway, sorry. I can be that silly jokes man again.
So, Fraggle armor.
Also, closer to 15 years ago for accuracy's sake. Anyways, Beth, you were saying.
Fraggle armor is back in full force. You love to see it. It's so freaking cute.
His hat is a picture.
World's Oldest Fraggle has a helmet that looks like a coffee pot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a helmet made out of like half a spiky ball. There's a chest plate made out of like a side dish and placemat, it kind of looks like.
Red's chest plate is a cheese grater.
Yes,
That looks painful.
Red's chest plate is a cheese grater.
That's really dangerous.
Well, no. It's only dangerous on the outside. The inside of a cheese grater is nice and smooth. You can't cut your hand on that.
Very safe.
Yeah, no, you wear the grater on your chest and then you give danger hugs.
Ugh.
I get it now. Wow, could this episode be any greater?
Ah.
Dang.
God. Oh.
Oh boy.
Excuse you.
So yeah, the world's oldest Fraggle is like, rallying everyone to war. Red is reminding him like, hey, don't forget about Moki. Like, we will be Moki. No, don't forget Moki is the reason why we're doing this.
He has a line here that I wrote down because, again, it hits that same fascist propaganda rhetoric. He says, glory is our destiny, supremacy is our dream.
Yeah!
Right?
Isn't that something?
Talk about saying the quiet part out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm gonna make all the people who feel insecure get a deep level of reassurance by feeling like they're better than everyone.
Mm-hmm.
What's wild is I don't read the Fraggles as particularly insecure.
Yeah, that one's more of a comment on how it works in the actual. And that's also part of why they're so easy to fall out of this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he has to work really hard to get him into it, and then they fall out of it pretty fast.
Immediately.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, war is not their natural state. And I find it very pointed that, Red is trying to remind him, like, hey, don't forget Moki is why we're doing this. And he says, you better leave commanding these troops to me, Red Fraggle. I don't think you know what you're talking about. And then, like, 3 or 4 lines later, she is just trembling with suppressed rage, and she's like, all right, you lily-livered pebbleheads, which is a great line. And she, like, gets the troops in order and gets them ready to go. And then, of course, World's Oldest Fraggle is, like, couldn't have said it better myself. Like, sir?
Oh, sorry, were you expecting consistency from a fascist demagogue?
Well, I didn't know if it was, like, purposeful, because he knows Red. Like, they come from the same part of just history in general. And so I didn't know if he maybe said that to her, so then suddenly she was, whipping everybody into shape with her words, and then he was like, ooh.
Oh, he, like, did a reverse psychology?
Yeah, I don't know if the world's oldest Fraggle is smart enough to actually do that, but, because when he said that originally to her, before she started then barking orders, I was like, of the Fraggle Five, Red is the most capable of, like, commanding an army, I feel like. She's so strong-willed and strong-headed and has no problem telling people what to do.
I mean, Red or Gobo, we've seen Gobo take charge in some really, like, lots of people involved, high manpower situations.
He is the natural leader of the show.
Which is why it's so interesting that he's not in the episode in which they go to war.
Jerry is absent from this entire episode. There's no Jerry voices anywhere. I was listening. In
the songs that the Cave Fraggles sing, I think I hear some of Jerry's voice in the harmonies. But that could have been, that's all in the recording studio. That could have been a different week.
Yeah.
So I was curious if he just was MIA from this episode. But
I also think that they're like, think about all that they cut from this episode. They didn't have room for a postcard segment. They didn't have room to focus on doozers, to focus on gorgs.
They didn't, did they?
Like, there's so much meat to the topic that they're trying to cover that anything that was unnecessary had to be, trimmed off of the episode. And so I think they looked at how they had two natural leader characters and only one had the personal connection to Moki that would justify this story, and said the other needs to be written right out of here. That's my suspicion.
It speaks to their willingness to think about how to properly present a complicated idea. One of the things that I still struggle with as a teacher is there's certain ideas that you can't communicate without having like two other ideas worth of context so that you can see that idea as it properly stands. And so that means that I need to find a way with easily distractible children to be like, all right, here's A. Now I need you to think about A, and from A, I need you to think about B. And now, holding both A and B in your head, I need you to look at C. And it's not an easy thing to do.
Remind me what you're teaching that requires this degree of philosophizing.
I mean, anything that... You see this in multiplication, right? Like, you need to be able to understand, okay, we are multiplying, we are looking at place value, right? If we're doing double-digit multiplication, you need to be able to understand that we're doing ones and then tens, and then ones and then tens. We need to be able to hold multiple different steps in our head of like, all right, we're doing the ones first and then the tens, and then the ones first and then the tens. And that's all within the context of, you're multiplying these things. You're not adding, you're not subtracting. You need to keep in mind and keep that consistent.
How do you do it?
Poorly, and with a great deal of stress.
And so that Adam could get maybe some studying in tonight, let's move along.
Moving right along.
Dugga-dung, dugga-dung.
Loose and fancy free.
That's a different show. Can't use that.
Sorry.
Copyright.
Yes, copyright toughpigs.com. Moving right along.
Yep.
Chuggadum.
So, back with the Cave Fraggles, we now get the cave's oldest Fraggle. So the world's oldest Fraggle counterpart. And this is Aunt Granny Fraggle in a different outfit. With her hair brushed down.
I love this character, and my theory is that the last reason that the Fraggles went to war is because she and the oldest Fraggle used to date, and they had a really messy breakup.
Yeah.
That's a really good headcanon.
I ship it.
I was mad that they did not confirm that. We do get to see her interrogating Moki, and we get one of my favorite, just like very direct dunks. Because Moki says, I am not now, nor have I ever been, a spy for the enemy Fraggles.
So
it's like,
good.
heck yeah, dunk on McCarthy. He deserves it.
I do think it's important to note that it's the two older characters who are stirring up they're doing the warmongering. Like, every other Fraggle except these two have inherited this ancient grudge that they themselves have nothing to do with and don't at all want to bring back. It's always the young people who are the ones to say, hey, this system you built is busted and we deserve better. Fix it, or else I'm gonna.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's very much a reflection of how it actually is. But also, has anyone seen the Christmas movie Klaus?
Yeah.
This is what this episode made me think of, where it's very similar in the sense, the very light premise is that a mailman gets sent to this town and Christmas is involved, but essentially there's two warring families. And as the movie progresses, the younger people, the children, realize, oh, we can be friends. We have more in common than we realized. And it's like the two older heads of the family that keep trying to bring it back to war, and how this is how it's always been. We need to stick to how things have always operated, and how it's always operated is we're trying to kill each other, essentially. And so that's ultimately what this episode made me think of. It's a great Christmas movie. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
I watch it every year and it makes me cry. I did a bad job summing it up.
It's really good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think, any decade, any generation, it's always that. It's always young people protesting. It's always young people at the front of the line, like saying, hey, this is not okay. And that's not to say there aren't also older people saying the same thing, or younger people who fall into the mob mentality, like, no, we have to hate these people and fight these people train of thought. But that is typically how it goes. It is the older folks in places of power, in political roles that are like, no, these are bad people, and we've got to do atrocities. Yeah.
I feel like this is a good moment to talk about one of the big ways that I feel like this, and like, I get that it's already trying to communicate a really complicated topic, and that I'm sort of like, adding criticism where it might not necessarily be due, given the like developmental level they're trying to communicate this at. But most wars these days are fought for profit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's not something that I see addressed. Like, most wars, and this applies in like I hate to keep coming back to World War II, but part of the extermination process for like Jewish and queer prisoners was work camps. Because before you kill somebody, you got to steal their labor,
right,
to do stuff and make you profit. If you look at all the various different wars that America had with indigenous people, that was not just because, oh, well, they're different and that's bad. That was, oh, we want this land, but they're already there.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I mean, and colonizing the rest of the world. We want what they've got. Mm-hmm. We're going to take it.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to object to that. So we're going to have to go to a war. And that's where all of those tools that I was talking about get brought into play, because that's how the ruling class that wants to profit manages to convince the working class to actually do these atrocities.
Right, but not wars that America supports, right?
Oh, yeah, no. We are a shining cowboy riding a nuke who can do no wrong.
We've never done anything wrong. We've never given money and arms to terrible people
horrible things.
Doing horrible things.
Why would we do?
We've never supported coups in, say, Central America.
Oh, yeah, the CIA definitely didn't overthrow a whole bunch of socialist governments in Central America to protect U.S. business interests.
Yeah, America definitely doesn't go, hey, stop doing that bad thing, while also funding the bad thing.
Mm-hmm. We don't know. Why would we do that?
No.
Coca-Cola definitely didn't send armed mercenaries into the Congo to break a strike with violence.
That one I did not know about.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. Coca-Cola's terrible.
Yeah.
They threw the bodies of the strikers into the ocean. Google it.
Down at Fraggle Rock.
What a fun show. What a fun episode.
Okay. I know we gotta move along. I do have to mention this one Fraggle who runs up. He's like, we've spotted them! They were spotting us!
Yes.
This dude is so funny. Look, he has no eyeballs, which it happens every once in a while. That's not unheard of. Boober exists. This guy also has no hat, and so it looks really weird. It looks like he's just missing his eyeballs, and his hair is up and fluffy, and he's got a colander over his face attached, like braces headgear. He's a very interesting guy.
Oh, okay.
I want to point out, actually, that the dialogue here was, we've spotted them! What were they doing? Spotting us! Those monsters!
So good.
Which is just the classic, like, oh, it's fine when we do it, but if they do it, it's evil.
It's perfect. It is one of the most perfect exchanges in this entire series, let alone this entire episode.
Mm-hmm.
So Moki is trying to convince, she says, I promise you, my Fraggles are not trying to attack you. And
oops.
Well,
my country could never do that.
Mm-hmm.
The Fire Nation definitely didn't blow everybody up. No, the Air Nation had a standing army that the Fire Nation had to defend themselves against.
I do want to give Moki a little leeway, because up until now, there hasn't been any war or destruction, and everything that's happened, she was in a cage for. And so in her mind, she was like, there's no way that Fraggle Rock would come and attack. And she's wrong, but she had no idea.
Fair.
So there's this scene where most of the rock Fraggles are asleep, and it's just Red and the world's oldest Fraggle. She's like, I still don't understand why we fought with those other Fraggles in the first place. And he's basically telling her, well, they had no sense of humor. They didn't laugh about jokes about Fraggles who eat their socks. Can you imagine? And this is slowly dawning on her, that's it? That's the whole reason y'all went to war? Because they had a different sense of humor? And that's when she realizes, oh my god, what have I done? What are we doing? And she rushes off I'm gonna go in there. She says, I'm gonna go in there and get Moki myself before anybody has to get hurt. And it's that moment when, a soldier who, deeply believed in the cause but felt awful about the methods gets some perspective.
This show is so beautiful.
So then, yeah, we get the song Sunlight and Shadow, which I appreciate on a lyrical level. I think it's very pretty. It's talking about, hey, the natural world understands how to do what it does. All of these other things, they're free. They know how to be free. I did look up, there's a cover of this on the 2018 Do It On My Own album by a band called Darker My Love, which when I looked it up, I was like, oh, of course it's 5 white hipster-looking dudes.
Darker My Love? I hardly know her.
Maybe these are not the right guys to be singing a sad song about yearning for freedom?
But they need to yearn for freedom from their angst.
But of course.
And the system.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Very, as vaguely as possible, the system.
It's freedom from the sound system, because they all just want to play acoustic guitars, but their producer won't let them.
So sad.
God, we are clinging to this levity like a life raft, aren't we?
Well, hey, levity is what saves the day at the end of the episode.
It is. Let's talk about that.
So Red comes up, Red and Beige kind of look at each other, and they're like, and Moki, to her credit, is she's going full wedding planner getting between feisty relatives. She's like, hey, forced smile, isn't this nice? Beige, this is Red, this is Beige. Oh my god, please don't start fighting.
Mm-hmm.
There's the way that they handle this is so incredible, because Red and Beige see each other and go, and Moki just continues that same sound going,
Uh-huh. It's so good.
I did not catch that, and that is brilliant, and that does work.
Yes. Yeah, they start talking oh my gosh, you don't want to fight? No. You don't want to fight? Oh my gosh, this is great. We can stop everything. And that's when we see the approaching armies marching up, including a toddler sucking their thumb and carrying a flag to war. It's oh god, okay, yeah. Great. You're going to make me think about how kids participate in war.
Yeah, you got to indoctrinate them while they're young.
Also just child soldiers exist.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Down at Fraggle Rock.
Yeah. Anyways.
So Red gets this idea, and they rush off, and the two sides are at the edges of the cave, clumping together, and they're in a standoff.
They're talking about how one of them has bigger weapons and more rocks.
Yup.
And they fling some insults at each other.
And then Red, under the pretense of yeah, let's give it to him. 1, 2, 3, and on the count of 3, she and Beige, I don't know where they got these pies from, they each smack a pie into the face of their leader, and the crowd erupts in laughter. And it took me a minute to notice, the cave Fraggles laugh like a chorus of he, ha, ha, all together at the same time. It's very cute.
So, credit where it's due. This is how you do things. This is how you disempower demagogues. You can't argue with them because then they get to appear combative and can always make it seem more like they're winning than you can. The proper way to disempower demagogues is to make them look ridiculous. I'm not going to get into specifics about it because we tried to stay somewhat family friendly on this podcast, but there was a certain rumor going around about J.D. Vance that I, honest to God, believe did more damage to that man's reputation than the entirety of the Democratic National Convention pouring millions of dollars into advertising.
Yep.
One rumor on Twitter that made him look ridiculous and weird.
Oh, see, I don't believe it. I think that a lot of demagogues really thrive when their opponents think they're silly. Like,
you are correct. There is a difference.
Go on.
If you are making fun of them and laughing at them while they are making you laugh, that is huge. But if you chuck a milkshake at them and make them look ridiculous, then they can't hold on to their dignity. The goal is not to laugh at them. The goal is to make them the object of ridicule.
See, I think that... I hear you.
You are right that it is not as black and white as I am presenting.
Like,
there is definitely nuance. That's how W got away with a bunch of the stuff he did.
I understand that you're generalizing, and that's all fair because that's all that we really have time to do in this episode, and that's just fine. But something that has been really bugging me lately is that we've all gotten very confident that if we are good enough and clever enough and funny enough about criticizing moral issues for aesthetic reasons, then surely everyone will eventually realize that the enemy is just too silly or too ugly or too bad at fashion or makes unfunny jokes or whatever it is just bad at things that aren't actually the point and aren't actually the things that are most important to criticize, and the people will not be able to take them seriously anymore. And it just feels like we've kind of been playing this game of let's make everyone else out to look silly or just crazy or weird and keep pushing the weirdness thing. And I don't think that's victory in the long haul.
I mean, so I agree that like superiority masked as humor is not the way to go.
Okay.
That kind of in-group derisiveness is very rarely productive.
I just feel like nobody in politics in recent years has been made a mockery of more than Trump, and it hasn't really shaken his base the way that I would have expected or hoped for.
His base is just, didn't he say he could shoot someone and that his base would still vote for him?
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't think his base is unshakable. I don't think that making demagogues look ridiculous is trying to sway their base. I think it's trying to sway the undecideds.
Of course.
The people who are, for whatever reason, like ambivalent or young and impressionable or whatever it is, the people who can be swayed, I think that humor is important in that aspect.
I'm also not talking about like sharing memes. I'm talking more about like, oh yeah, if you like snuck up on stage during a speech and pointed a leaf blower at his hair and made his hair look ridiculous and dumb in front of everyone. That's more the kind of like silliness that I am talking about here, because what they do is they literally throw a pie into the old faces of the oldest Fraggles. If you pied a fascist demagogue in the face, especially if they weren't expecting it, they'd have a lot of work to do to come back to dignified from that, because their entire self-image is rooted around not losing that kind of dignity. You sharing a meme doesn't do much. You like sitting with your friends and being like, oh, I can't believe people. No, that I completely agree with you. That serves very little purpose.
Mm-hmm.
The way I've seen it best talked about is in a Lindsay Ellis video where she talks about how Nazis love to use clips from America and X, but they don't use clips from the producer. Because the producer makes Nazis look laughably ridiculous, and that doesn't make good propaganda.
I was just going to say that that's what Mel Brooks talks about that movie. Is like, what do you do when you're faced with like this incredible evil? The only thing you can do is laugh at it. And it's incredibly effective it's effective at the very least for the healing process.
I'm sympathetic to that. Have any of you seen not the version that Mel Brooks was in, but the original To Be or Not to Be with Jack Benny?
I have not.
No, I've only seen the Mel Brooks version.
In either case, it's notable because it is very deliberately using comedy as a response to the Nazis. In the case of the original that was made during World War II, like in the period, like it is in a way that was kind of controversial at the time, making jokes out of very serious things that were happening at the time. But it sort of existed in a way in opposition to the way that the Nazis had been framed everywhere else, because for the most part, people were going to see the Nazis in newsreels, and that was going to be using footage that the Nazis had shot to make the Nazis look like this, well-oiled machine, as intimidating as possible. And like in American newsreels, of course, they want you to think, well, they're clearly the bad guys. They're so intimidating. They're so strong. They're so scary. But it was the same material that the Nazis used in their propaganda. And so there was some value in showing another perspective that did diminish them a little bit and go, actually, they're very, very silly as well. And so I will say that as a way of saying, I understand where you're coming from, and I do think that you have a point there. And I think maybe our concerns are not entirely, mutually exclusive. But they are just different enough that you and I are going to war, by the way.
Oh, definitely. I'll have my people fight your people.
Good.
I think it can be summed up by saying comedy is a weapon and not everybody knows how to wield it right.
Ooh.
Yes.
Although if you want to disagree with me, we're already at war, so...
we can war over that later.
Do we have to? I have another war later. I'm warring with Julia about dogs.
Are we?
Julia, can we push our war back so I can war with JD?
What's the war about dogs? What do we have to fight about dogs for?
You can support multiple wars at once. It can be done. It's done all the time.
Not with my attention span.
You want to fight this guy?
Listeners, Julia has
I didn't
a tiny
say I
Muppet.
wanted to fight dogs. I said I wanted to fight about him.
Oh, the Muppet.
It's a very good dog.
He's wearing a diaper.
What is this Muppet's name? He's too precious.
His name's Pie.
Are you kidding me? His name is Pie.
Oh my god.
That's thematically
To be
appropriate.
clear, this puppy is a real dog. To be clear, this is not a Muppet.
Yes. He just looks like a Muppet.
Real dog who looks like a
There's
Muppet.
been a dog who maybe has been making some small smacking mouth noises quietly on my end of the mic.
I mean, so have
but
I.
He's been
So
pretty
have I.
quiet.
A real dog that
Otherwise-
looks like a Muppet is kind of the inverse of Sprocket being a Muppet that really reads as a real dog. And so that means that these two would be like cave Fraggles and rock Fraggles and would go to war.
No, they're too sweet.
Okay, never mind.
So they pie the oldest Fraggles in the face and everybody laughs and the laughter saves the day and breaks the tension.
And then Doc brings home a stack of 6 pies. And he sets them down. He's like, look at what I got, Sprocket. Peach pie, apple pie, blueberry pie, chocolate cream pie. And I was like, Doc, those are my 4 favorite pies, and you are committing a heinous sin of both food waste and comedy. Everyone knows you hit people in the face with cream pies only. You don't put a man's face through a top crust, you monster.
I was just like, why would you throw those when you could eat them?
Exactly.
Well, then that's what they decide in the end. He's going to call Ned over for a party where they presumably are going to eat 6 pies together with Sprocket as well. Although one of those pies has chocolate in it, so they better not give Sprocket that pie.
Right.
Right?
That's the one it's okay to throw in someone's face because it's a cream pie.
No, because Sprocket might lick their face.
True.
Oh, good point.
Don't do it.
But yeah, Sprocket starts like packing up his stuff when he sees that the war has escalated. And it's only when Doc realizes like, oh, this is so serious to you that you would leave me over it. I better make this right.
There's a joke in here about like hundreds of insurrectionists, January 6th insurrectionists, getting turned in by their ex-wives somewhere. And a deeper point to be made about how the warpings that need to be done to a human mind to make them gladly perform violence do isolate them from the nourishment of community.
So, yeah, it's been 2 hours, and we said we weren't going to go this long, and we did, and I still want to talk about the fact that this was supposed to be a show to try and end war, and it's 40 years later, and now we've got a reboot that's trying to do the same thing, and we still have war, and we're still trying, and we still... God, humans are still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And some don't want to.
Because there's a lot of profit in not figuring that out.
Yeah, a lot of
land to be had.
A lot of land, a lot of power. I think part of the trouble is that most everybody will say, and maybe believe, that they want to end war. But some people mean, well, we want this war to end because we beat the bad guys, or we got all of the land, we got all of the stuff, we got all of the territory because we did it. The war will end when we did it.
Yep.
And if that's the only way that you're willing to resolve a conflict, is just keep pushing the war until it reaches a conclusion where one force has totally dominated and gotten everything they want, then that's not really a commitment to peace. That's a commitment to power.
God, that was well said.
Thank you. That was Off the Dome at 11:30 at night.
Christ.
So thank you much.
We're talking around carefully. We're talking around the horrible atrocities that are currently happening in Gaza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all kind of thought it would be irresponsible not to talk about it at the end here, because this is exactly the kind of thing that this episode was supposed to stop.
Yeah. It's tough to know. It's an odd thing how part of what makes us fans of Fraggle Rock and fans of the Muppets is the values that we have that we sometimes see expressed in that work. And then when it comes to a lot of the stuff that we care about, like the atrocities in Gaza, it's hard then to know how much is that separate from, from the fan stuff that we do to escape from a lot of our worries, and how responsible is it for us to always be escaping into, oh, look, cute puppets to watch. I often find myself really wishing I knew how to, frankly, honestly, how to care less about puppets, and how to, I wish you could choose your special interests, and I wish I could make mine social justice. That's really the issue at hand, because it still ends up being something that is on my mind a lot, but that's not sufficient.
I mean, social interest is also just a much more difficult special interest to have, because the information is much harder to find.
Yeah, it's true. And I find myself really wishing that I was really good at like reading and research and all that stuff, because that's so much of what we need right now is just better sharing of information.
If you want the two places that I tend to get most of my understanding about that kind of history from, I have two podcasts I would happily recommend you.
Great. I would love that.
And to anyone else who is looking to A, hear where I'm citing a lot of the sources of the rhetoric that I tend to spout, and B, do your own deep dive. The two podcasts are both Cool Zone Media podcasts. The first one is Behind the Bastards, and the second one is Cool People Who Did Cool Stuff. And one of them is about horrible people in history and how they got not just their power, but the worldview that they used to use that power, and what the consequences were. And the other one is about amazing people who did their best to heal and help and fight against injustice. They're very good to do one after the other, have a good upbeat one as a palate cleanser. But I highly, highly recommend them.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Down at Fraggle Rock.
Well, I was going to ask Julia, I know you've been sharing like resources and stuff for helping Palestinian families. Do you have anything off the dome that you remember that is a good place to look for where people can donate or get more information?
Not off the dome. I follow so many different accounts on Instagram, but I will say that there are accounts on Instagram that will highlight families in need of money, places you can donate eSIMs to. I've been following Bisan this entire time, who's a journalist over there, and she shows footage on the ground. Sometimes that footage is very hard to see. But there are a lot of folks still over there taking videos of, of small joyous moments, but also some really horrific things as well. It's very...
How do you spell Bisan?
Bisan.
Thank you.
And I do not remember the rest of her name, unfortunately. I will say that it's very tempting to look away. And I do think that you do need to take breaks. You do need to take care of yourself. But, it is also important to stay informed. And as hard as it is some days, like, to not look away and just, I don't want to say, like, live in it, but at the same time, folks are living in it. And so trying to express as much sympathy and empathy, and at the same time, taking actions when you can, sign petitions, go to protests, donate if you can, things of that nature.
That is actually a perfect segue. I was kind of hoping I could read this one other quote from the book that I read from earlier.
Please.
Go for it.
Again, he has this power that he can use that will sort of sink him away from his emotional self. And again, this is happening in a city that is being attacked. The colds would numb pain, swallow my sickness, leave everything calm and sharp-edged and rational and clear. I could lean into that power, forget this pain, at least for a time. But somewhere, deep down inside my gut, there emerged a solid, unalterable realization of truth. Some things should hurt. Some things should leave you with scars. Some things should haunt your nightmares. Some things should be burned into memory, because that was the only way to make sure that they would be fought. It was the only way to face them. It was the only way to cast down the future agents of death and havoc before they could bring these things to be. The words "never again" mean more to some people than others.
Thank you.
Welcome. It's a very good book.
Are you all doing all right?
Yeah, how we doing?
Yeah, that was a very affecting quote.
Yeah.
That one lives in my head rent-free for a reason. How you doing, Beth?
I'm thinking that the prompt of how to make the world a little fragglier feels like a heavier burden this time.
Do we want to maybe take it to Jim Henson and talk about how, in our small way, can we help bring about world peace?
Well, I mean, to me, they're kind of one and the same.
No, but we can, part the curtain a little bit. You're not wrong, though. I don't have a joke one for this.
I think we kind of did just cover how to make the world a little fragglier.
Yeah.
We have to help people in need in what ways we can.
Yeah. The things I listed, also just educating yourself, being willing, if it is a safe and, secure relationship, to have those conversations. Safety is very important, and sometimes it's not safe to do that. But just staying informed, keeping others informed, amplifying voices of people on the ground and people who maybe do know more than you. These are all ways you can make the world a little fragglier, because it doesn't feel very fraggly in the moment, but I guess hopefully in the long run, hopefully it just works towards a better world where, people aren't living through these horrific times.
If you are faced with a situation where there are people who feel so different than you as to feel alien, share food with them. Share music. Those are the two bedrocks of historically what it means to be people. Sit down, share a meal, take turns putting some music on. It makes a difference. And while you're doing that, don't forget to dance your cares away.
Well, now, hey, I didn't see mine.
Shit, sorry. Fuck. But it was such a good transition.
It was a really good transition. We didn't do our oh God, we're not going to plug ourselves this time. People know where to find us. Okay.
They've listened to this.
I remember hearing somewhere that the idea about the show being to end war wasn't just about the concepts within the show, about how we're all interconnected. And we're going to see a lot of that as the show goes on. But it was also in how the show was created with the international versions and being dubbed into other countries. It was the first Western show shown in Russia.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yes, there's a whole TikTok about, like, did Fraggle Rock end the Cold War? Which I think is a bit of hyperbole, but I love the idea.
I mean, it helped a little.
Fraggle Rock did end a war.
And there was this idea that, like, maybe all of these kids who grew up watching the show around the world, you know, hearing it in their own language, maybe someday they would be seated around a diplomatic table and be like, oh, yeah, you grew up with that show, so did I. And have that to connect over. And here we are 40 years later, and we've got a reboot trying to do the same thing, and it's a ridiculous notion to think that you can make a kids' television show to end war, but my God, ridiculous is a powerful tool.
Stories are powerful.
Silliness is a powerful tool. Humor and laughter and music. And hey, if in another 40 years we gotta make another Fraggle Rock reboot, and this time include the perspective of our robot overlords, or the sentient mushrooms that have taken over, or aliens, or whatever it is, we'll expand the definitions of what it means to be a person. That's all we're doing here. We're trying to figure out how to be people with each other.
And you can catch us as crotchety old people on Fraggle the New Year's Classic Talk on ham radio call sign 1.17.
What?
Because we're gonna when they make the new one 40 years in the future with the robots and the sentient mushrooms,
the dystopian
we're gonna
future?
do the podcast
Well,
for that one, right? Like when we're old.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure people know what the ham radio call sign is ahead of time.
Right, because that's the only.
We'll have to be
that's all we have
underground.
available. Yeah, underground.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
Adam, we said there would be no plugging.
Oh, fine. Don't forget to dance your cares away, I guess.
Down at Fraggle Talk. Wow.
Oh my God.
Good Lord, everybody.
Yeah, have fun editing this one.
Fraggle Talk Classic is brought to you by ToughPigs.com. Fraggle Talk art by Dave Hulteen Jr. The Fraggle Rock mark and logo, characters, and elements are trademarks of the Jim Henson Company. All rights reserved. The Fraggle Rock theme song, written by Philip Balsam and Dennis Lee, is used with permission. Special thanks to the Jim Henson Company and the entire Fraggle Rock family. For more from Tough Pigs, please find us at Tough Pigs on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, TeePublic, and Patreon. Fraggle Talk Classic is produced and edited by me, Beth Cook. Thank you to Joe Hennis, the Tough Pigs Muppet Fan Podcast executive producer. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time, down at Fraggle Talk.
Okay, do you not have the chapter guide? You don't have the chapter guides. We're just going to flip.
Are you wearing your Cool Ranch autism shirt?
I 100% am.
Wait, what is this? May I see? I want to know what it looks like. Oh, I can kind of see.
Yeah, it just says Cool Ranch autism in the bisexual flag colors, and it's the best shirt.
Well, because some people have mild autism, right? Which implies the existence of spicy autism. And me, I have Cool Ranch autism.